Hi folks, welcome back to We the People. I'm Dave Gallus, your host, and this series that we're covering now is called Hispanic Outreach. And what it really is, it's trying to communicate with our Hispanic community, which you can say is a minority because us gringos are the minority. The Hispanics are actually 60% or more. So I would like to know more about our Hispanic community, the rich culture that we've come into. I'm a Philadelphia boy, so I moved here about 7 years ago. So I'm trying to reach out to people, especially people that have been former Democrats that are now Republicans, and I'd like to know why that is. And I know the Hispanic community is all about faith, family, and freedom. And today we have a special guest, Ronnie Sisneros. He's running for City Council District 5. Ronnie, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I've known Ronnie for a couple years now and always been impressed with the man. And I'd really like to know more about Ronnie. So could you tell us, give us some history, Ron?
Well, I was born in Roswell, New Mexico, born and raised, and went to Roswell High School. I came down here to Las Cruces about 15 years ago, And I am a licensed occupational therapy assistant. That is my profession, of which I love to do. On that note, I would like to say hi to some people there at the long-term care facility here in Las Cruces that I have worked with for over 14 years. A lot of caring people there over at Casa de Oro. Hi to everybody over there. And just a lot of good people, got a lot of good staff, and the residents, a lot of good people. I had a lot of good friendships there. But I came down here to Las Cruces to get a better job, because jobs were falling away there in Roswell. And came here, Las Cruces, and me and my wife, and got us a home here and everything. And as time progressed, as you can see, the political changes of everything that has gone on here.
Yeah, it gets crazy.
Yes, the political changes that have gone on here recently. I was always involved. Even I was a Democrat. I was a faithful, dedicated, always voting Democrat. Just pull that chain, as they would call it. And especially if I saw Chicano's last name on the back end of it, I would vote a Democrat, especially.
Okay.
And so when we came here to Las Cruces and things began to change, and whatever was happening here within the political turmoil between 2016 and 2020, I didn't like anything that they were saying. I didn't like anything that they were promoting. I'm pro-life. And it seemed that they want to promote pro-death all the way up to birth. I'm against that. I would get on the telephone with my brothers and call them, and that they live all over the state, and I'd tell them, call this person, stuff like that, and tell them, hey, don't vote for that, And then of course, I believe in the Second Amendment. 100%. I was raised shooting guns from a young age. We'd go rabbit hunting, and I'm, 100%, pro Second Amendment. Ability to protect yourself, and not only that, but it's just an ability to have a gun if you want it. And all of these rules that have been systemically and incrementally and changing, literally month by month and year by year, are impeding our ability to have that freedom to even buy bullets, to buy weapons, anything that you want,
Well, Ron, let me go back to your childhood. It seems like you had a pretty very close family relationship, but it seemed like a family relationship that was built on working together.
Yes.
Which I think us gringos could learn a lot about family, and how I talked to you a little bit before the show about how difficult it was when you were a kid that you had to work to help with the family. Could you tell us a little about that?
Yes. Well, I come from a family of 6 brothers and 2 sisters, and when we were young, it was common that we all had to work in the fields. We all had to work in the fields in what we called the limpia, and the limpia is Spanish for cleaning the fields, cleaning the cotton fields. Uh-huh. And if you didn't work in the limpia, then you worked in the pizca. And the pizca is when you'd be pulling chili out of the fields. It was difficult. I didn't like doing that work. I have to admit, My brothers did that work more than I did, but I did it, and I didn't like it at all.
When I was a kid, I mean, I would go out cutting grass and serve newspapers and things like that, but that was just for spending money for me. I didn't have to do it so the family could eat, and obviously you did.
Yes, I remember one particular day I approached my mother, and because all of us are out there working in the fields, and this is on the summer, of course. We go to school and everything, and this is just in the summer. And I said, Mom, I don't want to do this no more. I don't want to do this anymore. I said, I would see that long line of rows going from here to Dexter practically, the field, as
long
they call
distance,
it.
yeah.
Yes, and it'd never end, And she told me, she says, we're not rich. And she says, if you want something, she goes, you have to work for it. You have to get a job. So I said, okay, Mom, I'll do whatever you told me. And so the next day, she took me into town, told me, of course, I had to take a bath, get a piece of paper, get a pencil, and she dropped me off at an area in the middle of town and said, go find a job.
Wow.
And she goes, because we don't have the gas money to be looking for you, picking you up. I'll pick you up at the far end of town, and that's how we found jobs.
I think a lot of people have a misconception about Mexicans, and I'm from Philadelphia. But I have to say that the Mexicans, there was a lot of mushroom growing in and around Philadelphia. And a lot of the Mexican immigrants would come and be working there. But I never saw people work so hard. And even the landscapers, but they also were always covered up. And I thought that was so strange. It's so hot out that they're covered up. And they seem to have dark skin anyway, so why? I didn't understand that, but harder workers, I can't imagine.
Well, the reason you cover your skin is to protect it, to protect your skin.
Right.
And everybody have long sleeves, multiple big, gigantic. We'd always make fun of my mother because she'd have a gigantic hat on, and so it'd be kind of a thing of laughter, but it wasn't laughter after you've been out there for hours. You kind of shut up after a while.
I think you were saying you work from sun to sun.
Yes, you would get there when it's dark, and you wouldn't go home till it's dark.
Wow.
And you would go out in the middle of places to where there's nobody that would come pick you up in a truck, and you jump in the back of the truck with I don't know how many people.
Wow.
You'd have your hoe. You'd have to bring your own hoe and your own file, and
to sharpen the hoe.
Yes, to sharpen the hoe. To sharpen the hoe.
Okay.
And then do that work. Do that work. It was difficult work. What you were saying in regards to the Mexican people, and I refer to myself as a Chicano. I was born here.
What does that mean?
The difference, I think a lot of people always confuse those two things. And what a Chicano is in my view, like I said, I was born here as my parents were born here.
In the U.S.?
Yes, in the United States. And my grandparents. My father was born in Manzano, New Mexico, and my mother was born in Texas. All of the families were born in Texas. Manzano was up there by Albuquerque, and then they came to Roswell.
Okay.
And the difference between a Chicano and what you would call a Mexicano is a Chicano is somebody that more aligns himself to the United States.
Oh.
And a lot of those people, they serve in the military. All of my family served in the military, all the way back to World War II.
Okay.
And even before. My uncles, they parachuted into Normandy in World War II. My uncle served, my father served, my son served, my brothers served, my uncles. I have an uncle who they did a documentary on. His name is Henry Mendoza. He was on the Enterprise when it had a horrible crash in the 1968, and he lost his leg during that time. And he loved the military. He loved the Navy.
So I see a lot of patriotism.
Oh, yes.
In the Chicano community.
Oh yes, very much so. I myself, I did not serve, but I always respect it regardless. I always respect that service, and I always respect that service and of what they did.
I do as well. I never served. I was a policeman, but that's not the same. I mean, there was a camaraderie, but I often thought I missed something by not serving. But if I did, it would have been '69, and I would have gone to Vietnam. So I'm glad I missed that show. But it was the lottery system, second year of the lottery, so I didn't have to go. But I too respect our service people, and I believe we can't do enough for them.
No, I agree as well. I agree that in the field that I work, if I see a veteran, I always make sure and pay special attention to them.
Yeah. Well, and you were in the service industry of mental health, right?
Yes, it does. It's definitely a component. It's not all of it.
Okay.
It's definitely a component, but definitely I work with those residents that have abnormal mental disorders, depression, schizophrenia,
PTSD.
Yes, PTSD. Yes, all of that.
Well, you know, I see a great divide in our country between the two different parties. But I also know a lot of Democrats that are my friends, that are good people.
Yes.
So it's like, sometimes I don't understand why my good friends follow an ideology that I see has gone off the tracks. So what is your observation as to, well, obviously you changed from Democrat to Republican, and now you're running as a Republican for City Council District 5. So nationally, what do you see as why you switched?
Well, why I switched is a couple of reasons. I would think for and foremost, I want my grandchildren to have what I had as an American in this country. And a freedom to live your life, a freedom to work and excel and do things and buy homes and see your children and your grandchildren grow up, and that literally at my age, I'm in my late 50s, almost 60, and literally your pride is in them. And so I want them to have what I had, which was good opportunities and freedom to choose those opportunities on their own, not that the government's saying you have to do this.
Right.
Secondly, I think that there's most people that can align themselves or recognize this type of, every time they go to Walmart, how much money they're spending additionally on groceries. You know, I mean, it's like you don't even buy anything and it's like $160. You know, it's $160. And so how did that, but there hasn't been incremental increase in pay to go to that is comparable to what you have to pay for groceries, which you have to pay for groceries. And everybody has to eat, everybody has to have soap, water, clothes, etc., and things of the like.
The basics.
Exactly.
I have a handle on why it's so bad. When I was 12 years old, my father was a Philadelphia fireman. And along with him working in the wintertime shoveling snow and in the summertime cutting grass, he was making $3,000 a year. He supported a family of 7 in a single-family home in a blue-collar neighborhood.
I believe that
for
completely.
$3,000 a year. It's like inflation is what has created this problem.
I believe that 100%.
We are going to take a short break, and when we come back, we can get a little bit more into national problems, and then we can get into city council and why you want to run for city council. So, folks, Ronnie Sisneros is our guest today. We'll be back in a couple minutes.
Horizon Granite is here. We'll come to you to customize your kitchen and bathroom with beautiful countertops and cabinets. Find out more at horizongranite.com. Call us at 575-650-3180.
Horizon Granite is here.
It's here.
Make yourself a beautiful home.
Hi, I'm Ray Bamberg with Here on Earth. I would like to invite you for a free hearing evaluation to our office. We've been here in southern New Mexico for 34 years helping people hear better.
They've stormed beaches and freed countries. They've raised our flag and our hope. They've been called leathernecks. They've been called devil dogs. But above all, they're called Marines.
Hi, folks. Welcome back to We the People. I'm Dave Gallus, your guest, and our special. I'm your host, excuse me. And our special guest is Ronnie Sisneros. my good friend of a few years, and he is running for City Council District 5, and we're talking about how a Democratic Chicano, excuse me, I was corrected, it's not Hispanic, it's Chicano, a patriotic American with Mexican background. How you can switch from Democrat to Republican and why. So, Ronnie, we were talking about what you saw the national differences are, and one of them is your faith, and I'm a strong Christian. So how do you see faith as playing into the division of the Democrat and Republican Party?
Well, the way I see it is I don't know how these individuals within the Democratic Party, which are the legislators, of course, I don't know how they can substantiate their votes of what they're casting that are supportive of such really atrocious abortion measures, you know, all the way to birth, and that, to me, it's just murder. You can't go any further than that. You can't go any further than that. And you want to say that you guys are voting for it. You are voting for it, and you're the ones casting the vote for it. Your name is registered on there. Your date and where you at in terms of the legislature, in terms of your position with the House, the Senate, whatever, it's on there.
So and I would even say there's Republicans that aren't standing up strong enough, and even our church leaders aren't standing up strong enough. And I don't ever want to condemn a woman for believing that the only option she has in a situation like that is to abort. I mean, there's other measures. We have 2 facilities in Las Cruces that are, and this is nationally, 2 facilities in Las Cruces that actually welcome, support financially, emotionally, and there are people that want to adopt. So there's always options. So I would say that the Republicans are slipping on that one too, but the Democrats definitely vote for abortion up to birth.
You know, I probably wouldn't even be sitting here right now if it weren't only just that measure, if it weren't only that measure. But there are so many other things. There's so many other things that the Democratic Party literally is they're directly responsible for. They're directly responsible for. The destruction of all of these, the historical monuments all the way across, all over this country. And of course they've been in this state. Changing the names of schools because it's not socially appropriate in their eyes, regardless of whatever the people in all over the state and here in Las Cruces say. 4,000 people came up against the school board saying that no, do not change the name of Oñate High School.
Oh, that's right.
But they changed it anyway, and it was only 1,000 people who were proponents of it to change the name, but they changed it regardless. So these individuals, whether they be on the school board or whether they be legislators within the state, they are entrusted. They have the public trust because they are elected officials, and I'm here for that reason because they're not doing it. They're just not doing it. They don't care to do it. They're more concerned to answer to other individuals, and I won't even get into who these other individuals are. And actually, neither do I care. I live here. I'll never live in another state. I've lived here my whole life. There's no other state better than New Mexico.
Okay.
I've lived in California. I've gone to the east a little bit, but not very far. But this is my home. This is my tierra, as they say in Spanish. You know, you're not going nowhere, and I'm not going anywhere, and my family is not going anywhere. And I have one brother lives in Colorado, and the rest all live here in New Mexico.
Okay.
And so I think they have a responsibility. They have a responsibility to do with those people that they represent in these districts. They're saying no, don't do this, but they do it anyway.
I know.
That's why I'm here.
And I'm still talking nationally and even statewide. It's you'll contact your senator and your congressman. Of course, they're all Democrat in New Mexico. It's like you're talking to a wall. And you say, this is how I feel. And you know there's many other people that are calling in as well, or writing to them, or talking to them, at whether it's Santa Fe, or if we have city council or county commission meetings. You and I have gone in together on certain occasions and spoke up. And it's like these people aren't even listening. No. So, like you said, who is it that's telling them what to do? And I would say it's the people that are getting them reelected with lots of money. I would say there's big money interest out there that's telling them this is what you're going to do or you're not going to get elected. Now, I'm not a money person. I'm a people person. And I think if you reach the people and the people understand what's going on, and I don't like to use the word educate, but inform them, then people will understand better. But people have to get off their duff, too. I think there's a lot of laziness out there. expecting that the government is going to take care of us. And like you said with your childhood, the government does not take care of you. You take care of yourself.
The government helps you, but the government can help you. Thank God for this country.
Sure.
And the government can help you, and they helped us. I have to admit, they helped us, and thank God in heaven they did.
It'd be interesting to see what the percentage is of people on welfare that are Chicanos and are Anglos and whatever other organizations or I would say groups of people. But I don't think there's many Chicanos on welfare because they have a work ethic like you spoke about in your childhood and your family. So there's other things. Veterans, we talked a little bit about how much we respect veterans, and I don't see that happen nationally on the Democratic side. I do see that on the Republican side. Now there's some bad in both sides and some good in both sides as well. And a big issue we have since we're in New Mexico is immigration policy. What are your thoughts on that?
On immigration, to me is very simple. I don't see, and I never have seen, even though I've changed parties from Democrat to Republican, I never have seen Mexico as the enemy of the United States. We have a history with Mexico, even though there's as they call it, the frontera, we have a history in Mexico that encompasses over 450 years. And Mexico has never allowed a foreign power to come and utilize their territory to come to attack the United States. They never have allowed that throughout the history of their country. And yes, there have been things, and yes, there are people, but there are criminals all over the world. There are criminals all over the world. In regards to immigration, I am for the wall, because the people that are Mexicanos that are coming across, but what has changed, this is what has changed. When I was young, the people who were coming across, they were Mexicanos who come across. And what I mean by Mexicanos is that they are men. They are men coming across.
Okay.
Primarily, I would say 90% of them, and I think there's even some statistics to back that up. But they are primarily men coming across, and all they wanted to do was work.
My uncle had a cotton farm in Hatch, and I've heard that he was in the Bracero program where he would go and pick people up in Juarez, bring them, they would live on the farm and do the work, and then he would take them back. He was responsible for them, but hardworking people. So this is what you were talking about, I think.
Exactly. And it's just, but what has changed, in my opinion, over the past, I would say, a couple of decades, what has changed is it is no longer people from Mexico. It is people from all over southern, Central and Southern America, which would be Nicaragua, Panama, Chile, Panama, Nicaragua, all of these southern and Central American countries. They are now traveling these ways up to come into the United States.
They're actually using Mexico as a vehicle to get into the United States.
And I mean, you're not going to differentiate between, you're going to say, well, which one's this? But easily you would be able to tell, because the same way you can tell a person sometimes by their accent.
Right, sure.
I know where you're at, and stuff like that.
Right.
But the point of it that I mean Mexico has always had a history that America needs us and we need them. And I am not anti-Mexicano or anti-Mexicana. I never have been. I never have been, just because I changed Republican. But that doesn't mean anything. Why I changed Republican is because I was tired of what the Democratic Party was doing.
Okay.
They left me, I didn't leave them.
Okay.
They're the ones who they used to be. I used to volunteer for them all the time.
Okay.
I volunteered in Roswell. But they valued something, and they've lost that, and they've given it away. They've given it away or sold it. I don't know which one it is.
I've had a lady.
You'd have to ask them.
I had a lady on last week, Liz Ortega. I don't know if you know Liz, but
I know
she's speaking the same thing you're saying. She's, and so it's good for us to understand the cross-cultural things we have in common, and it's we could learn a lot from the Chicanos. Let's talk about locally. We got about 3 minutes left in the show. So locally, why do you want to run for city council? What do you see wrong? What do you see that needs improving that you want to make a difference in? Now, City Council District 5, first off, could you give us the general geographical parameters?
District 5 starts at Highway 70. Going north, it goes past Red Hawk Golf Course.
Okay.
And then it has a funny little
That's on the
square.
East Mesa?
Yes, it is. It goes around it. And then it goes west to Elks Drive.
Okay.
And then it goes east a little bit past Holman.
Okay.
So it encompasses all of that area, Highway 70, advancing north.
Gotcha.
North
Gotcha.
to that mesa.
Okay. So what are you going to do changing City Council District 5? What do you see changes?
To me, it's very simple. Whatever the people in that district want, that's what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. But is it going to remain conservative? Is it going to be conservative? Because I was conservative when I was a Democrat. Right. I'm not going to be changing. I'm not going to be. Okay, well, this is Ronnie on Monday, and then this is Ronnie on Sunday. No. That's just not going to be happening.
I hear you.
I'm already, as I said, I'm almost 60 years old. I ain't going to be changing who I am.
Well, like I said, you and I have been at city council meetings. The one time they brought up the subject of school safety when they had the school shootings, but really it wasn't about that.
No.
It was about taking guns away.
Yeah.
It was about infringing our Second Amendment. We both spoke there, I think, that day.
Yes, had nothing to do with it.
And people were there with guns and shotguns and sidearms and all, and they said, we do not want you messing with our Second Amendment rights. And what they would do in city council was make a resolution to send to Santa Fe to say that we're representing Las Cruces.
Yes.
But they didn't.
No.
They didn't do what the people wanted.
There was over 450 people there.
Yeah. So they didn't listen to us.
450 people in the auditorium.
So you will listen to us.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Well, look, we're running out of time here, and so anybody that wants to get a hold of you, I'm going to give them your phone number. It's 575-636-3684, and you can go to Sisneros, Sisneros for City Council, all one word, at yahoo.com. So Ronnie, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you. I want to have you back on multiple times before the election in November.
Absolutely.
So, Ronnie, thank you so much. Folks, you can find us on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Las Cruces channel, Ronnie Sisneros, City Council District 5. Vote for him.